Hello and welcome back to the channel. Well, in the series of ETL and data warehousing and data modeling, today we would just have a demo on how to set up Airflow and DBT and create connections, PostgreSQL database connections. At the moment, we don't have a destination environment, but we would check source connections if we can connect to all three source databases. As always, I will provide a link to Docker Compose file that can be used, and let's quickly have a look at the Docker Compose file, and then we see what DAG we have and how is it validating the database connections and how do we actually create a database connection. So let's start. Docker Compose is pretty straightforward. It is with containers with Postgres that is using keeping Airflow data. Then we've got Redis. We can, well, actually, there's no point in going into what we could have used and what we could use because this is not an Airflow tutorial. It's just that how we're going to use Airflow for ETL, especially in the first step. We are taking data from staging, from sources and putting them to staging in batch format. So this again, just use Docker Compose. Everything works out of the box. Let me just quickly show you some stuff. This is DAGs folder. That is very important. Do check the permissions on DAGs folder that you have all the necessary permissions. If something is failing, please just right click, view logs, and that would basically tell you what's happening, what's working, what's not working. I had few orphaned DAGs or whatever error that was, but that's not important, it's just warning. Let's go back. So yeah, logs, DAGs, plugins. So this is how it's gonna look. In DAGs, we would just create DAGs, put them here, the Python files, and they should appear on our web interface, which we will look in a minute. Over here, as you can see, we have 3 retail accounts and logistics, the same OLTP sources we have created in the previous demo, and we are just checking if we can connect to them, and because we're going to need them to start our batch processing, batch ETL processing. Okay, let's now move to look at the GUI environment and see what do we have there. So when we go into, first let's just quickly check our connections. By default, PostgreSQL connections are part of Airflow. So when I added a connection, because you will have to add a connection, you just give it connection ID. So in my case, I have all 3 of them. So let's call it source retail underscore test in my case, right? And here we just choose Postgres, provide the IP address or the DNS name of the host. In our case, it is, database is retail, login is Postgres, password, I think it was this, but it's not important. Port we were running on 5432. Destination, we're going to change the port for destination because we don't want to create a separate VM for that, or at least I think it's not a good idea. If I create more, than the requirements for whoever is following would be to create another database. Once that is done, all you have to do is just save. In my case, so it would be source retail, hit save, and then when you go into connections, you can search for source accounts, logistics, and retail. And if I click over here, you can see everything has been provided as we did. And how we test that, we created this DAG which I've run, as you can see, and it connected to all three of them. Oops. It connected to all three of them, and green means it was successful. So again, very simple, very straightforward. All we're doing is just creating our DAG in VS Code here, Python file, and checking our connections. What that would do is set up our basically validates our Airflow environment and our connection to our source databases. Once that is done, now our next step would be to deploy destination or data warehouse environment and create a database over there, and then schema over there for our staging. That would be part of my next video, I think, where I would just explain how the project is going to be taken. So once we have a requirement, what is it, how we deal with it. So after this demo, next would be a sort of presentation, so to say, on what steps we should take, how staging areas should be set up, and then followed by another demo where we would actually set a destination and staging area. Well, so thank you very much for tuning in. If you have any questions, please post them in comments, and do the usual things, like and subscribe. Have a good day.